Became a career firefighter with the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Service, the chief of the medical division, or EMS, the unofficial historian of the Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Service. Over 65,000 digital images and newspaper articles, magazine articles, etc. Episode 24-30. Hey, it's just a stone's throw across the river, Patapsaco River that is, Sykesville. Today I'll be journeying just over the river, through the woods, but over the river into the community of Sykesville. Sort of the history of Sykesville. Several folks had contacted me and asked that if I could do a little blurb on that local community, which is, like I said, literally just a stone's throw across the Patapsaco River in western Howard County. And the images that I'll be showing you are a collection of images from the 1800s until about 1970, 72 or whatever. Before we get started, I know y'all are staring at my head right here. That's my best image of Harry Potter. That was a chainsaw accident. No alcohol was involved. No one else got hurt. And that's just one of the slight injuries I had. So please be safe when using chainsaws. In fact, when I finish this, I'll probably go back out and do another chainsaw activity. I'm not throwing chainsaws, just trying to cut stuff. Anyway, the first image is of Main Street, Sykesville, looking north, and it appears it's around the turn of the century, around 1900. As you can see, there are some horse-drawn buggies. I don't see any vehicles in the picture, so we're going to say it's around 1900. This is one of the older pictures in the collection here. This was prior to 1868, because in 1868, the structures that you see there were washed away in the Great Flood of that particular year. What we're looking at is the taller building is the Grimes Hotel, and then in front of it is the train station, probably the original train station that served Sykesville. There's also the Zimmerman store that functioned also as the train station. It appears that the town is on the right, and Howard County would have been just to the left of the image. Another image of Sykesville, again taken from the Howard County side, looking across the river, around 1907. In the bottom center of the picture is the railroad station and other structures, as you can see, surrounding the station and up on the hill, going towards what is now Route 32. And again, this is taken April 11th, 1907. Sykesville had its share of fires. This particular one occurred on October 21st, 1937, lower Main Street of Sykesville. In fact, the building that you can see on the center left-hand side is actually the fire station, the Sykesville Fire Station. And apparently the fire consumed quite a few businesses beyond the fire station and going up Main Street. Apparently a total of 8 or more fire stations, departments responded to attack the blaze. Ellicott City being the first one to arrive on the scene from out of county to assist with this particular devastating blaze. Again, just another image of the Main Street, the fire of the October 21st, 1937. Fire service personnel are training hose and water on one of the burning structures. This is just a news article talking about the downtown Sykesville fire was swept by a fire, and a quarter of the town was wiped out, as the article says. If you want it, you can pause at this point to take a look at the article and what people had to say about that devastating fire back in the day. That would have been close to 90 years ago, 85 to 90 years ago. That was quite devastating. This is probably the most modern picture that I have in today's collection. Back in November 2nd, 1974, it was the first town festival of Sykesville. The Sykesville Improvement Association conducted this particular festival. Looks like they closed down Main Street, different booths, wares, etc. In December of 1933, actually, December 15th in 1933, there was a parade in downtown Sykesville. Leading the parade was probably this fire engine from the Sykesville Fire Department was leading the parade. Again, the parade itself coming from up Main Street down towards the river, it looks like, and the parade proceeding down Main Street. You can see the fire engine, a second vehicle in line. Interesting to see the vehicles on the right-hand side were parked diagonally, unlike they are today. And again, this is newsworthy in that the Baltimore Sun, December 15th, 1923, had an article highlighting the festivities that were part of the Sykesville parade. The Sykesville Fire Station, shortly after you cross the river, cross the railroad tracks, you would then see the Sykesville Fire Station on the left. The building is still there to this day, although it has changed. I believe it's a creamery ice cream store that is still present. This is the structure today, the same building, but has been renovated and is now the Firehouse Creamery, which is apparently a very popular place to go get ice cream all year round. Around 1909, this picture was taken, St. Paul's Church, one of the churches of Sykesville. Again, another picture of downtown Sykesville from about 1910, October 21st, 1910, looking up Main Street, horse and buggy and wagon. I really don't see any vehicles there, so that's, again, it's probably close to 1910. This is an image apparently taken around 1911 of the train station. Looking west, a steam locomotive had just pulled in and will be heading west towards Frederick and points beyond. Again, just another picture of downtown Sykesville. This had to have been taken around 1910 or so. And looking at the picture, you can see a couple horse and buggies in front of a couple of the establishments there on Lower Main Street. Again, another picture of this Main Street in Sykesville, looking from sort of the railroad tracks to Upper Main Street of Sykesville. Sort of have a combination of modes of transportation. Again, this was taken around 1937, and as you can see, most of the transportation in the picture is of vehicles, but there's at least one horse and buggy or carriage that you can see on the left-hand side. I don't know whether that's Amish of origin, don't know, but it's sort of an interesting contrast of the old and the new. Homecoming week in Sykesville of November of 1930. Homecoming week, Merchants and Farmers Carnival and Poultry Show. Again, just another picture looking from the different direction. Merchants, Farmer Carnival, and Poultry Show. I guess that the highlight of that particular carnival were the poultries. 1972, roughly June of 1972, Hurricane Agnes came through. It took out the bridge from Howard County. And again, just a stone's throw from Howard County, which is where the picture is taken from, to Sykesville. Where the people are standing on the center right, that would have been where the bridge went into Carroll County from Howard County and was taken out by the excessive flooding of Hurricane Agnes. Civil War. Sykesville was not immune to the Civil War of the month of June 1863. A Confederate sort of came through Sykesville and wreaked havoc with the railroad and communications, and actually came close to capturing General Hooker, who was due to come down the tracks going to Washington. But individuals who were very astute as to what was going on were able to warn the general, who did not come down the railroad tracks going back to Washington. Again, just another picture of the train station in June of 1972 following Hurricane Agnes. As you can see, the power of the river eroded the banks, darn near eroded the foundation of the train station. Certainly took care of the railroad tracks right there. Sykesville was certainly impacted by Hurricane Agnes. Again, back to that original photo, pre-1868. Again, just showing the Grimes Hotel and the train station and Zimmerman's store. Again, you can see the train tracks going from the lower right up past the train station into points west. Just another image of Sykesville. You have to remember, at one point the roads were made of dirt, and it certainly looks like in this particular image that there's plenty of mud that was covering the Main Street at that time. Just another image of Main Street in Sykesville, a young lad riding his bicycle in downtown Sykesville. There are several tunnels surrounding pre and post Sykesville. This particular one is the train tunnel that's heading towards Sykesville from Gaither and heading once again to points west. As the caption says, need to note that at that time there were two sets of tracks in the early days before they had good communications and were able to keep track of, no pun intended, keep track of the trains. Westbound and eastbound trains ran on separate tracks to avoid collisions. Once modern technology came about, they were able to do a cost savings and run the trains efficiently on a single track. The Sykesville ambulance, Cadillac I believe, while those things could go fast, they were bite to work on in the back of the ambulance, doing any sort of real treatment. And back in the day, this was sort of a transition between hearses that were the original ambulances in much of the country, and certainly in Howard and Carroll County. It was just a easy transition to turn these hearses, same models, into ambulances. Like I said, they could go fast, but you could take maybe 2 patients, but to be able to do any sort of real treatment, a CPR would have been a challenge. One of the original 5 and 10s of Carroll County and Sykesville. And once again, I sort of have the same picture before, a little more close-up of Main Street, horse and buggy, young lad on a bicycle. I can't tell whether the road itself is dirt or some other form of covering for Main Street. An image of the Springfield State Hospital, obviously a fire truck leaving the area with other fire trucks lined up behind, whether it's an actual fire or some sort of parade or party, I don't know. But the Sykesville Springfield Hospital from back in the day. Unfortunately, I'm not totally aware of what this image is and the date. It almost looks like it may have been around 1868 or so, following one of the major floods that came through the Patapsaco Valley, Sykesville, and Ellicott City. I'll see if I can't go back and research a little bit as to the exact origin and date of this particular image. It is of Sykesville, and looking at the devastation, I will say it was probably after a flood, and could very well have been after the devastating flood of 1868. Just an image of a spur in downtown Sykesville. Not really sure which building this is. It would have been on Lower Main Street, where the rail yards were at the bottom of the hill. Again, just another image of downtown Sykesville, down towards the tracks. Should be around 1900 or so. And you can see a wagon or carriage on the left-hand side of the screen. So this particular image does have some age to it. Again, another image showing Sykesville taken from the Howard County side, and as I said before, a stone's throw over the Patapsaco River, showing the railroad station on the far left and other structures along the tracks, and then residents up on the hill. Just an image of the train station back in the day. I looked at painting. I'm not sure whether this is taken from an actual picture of the Sykesville train station or just an artist image of the train station itself, with a locomotive, steam locomotive, pulling into the station and getting ready to head 2 points west. These are many of the volunteer firefighters from back in the day, 1933, with the Sykesville Volunteer Fire Department, and just listing the names of the individuals, identifying them from left to right, I believe. Some of the names I semi-recognize. As you know, many of the volunteer departments have a long and rich history of family members being part of the organization, and this appears to be no different. A couple of the names are certainly part of the rich history of the Sykesville Volunteer Fire Department. Again, Sykesville was impacted by the Civil War. Again, looking at this particular picture, the top picture is of General Jeb Stuart. The caption is just saying that Jeb Stuart, in his routing of heading towards Gettysburg, he had taken liberty to travel through much of Maryland and Pennsylvania, not going directly to Gettysburg, but doing raiding parties elsewhere. And these raiding parties that he made, and also not keeping in contact with General Lee at Gettysburg, may very well have changed the course of the Battle of Gettysburg because of his lateness in getting to the battle itself. So he decided he was going to go through Sykesville and then points north, and this could very well have impeded the outcome of the Civil War. The bottom image is of General Robert E. Lee, who went through Sykesville on 2 occasions. One was prior to the start of the Civil War. He was a part of the Union Army, and he had been dispatched from Washington to Harper's Ferry to take care of the uprising in Harper's Ferry, and was there to arrest abolitionist John Brown in Harper's Ferry. And it's just saying that apparently the second time that the Civil War and Lee and the Confederates came through Sykesville was when General Lee had Stuart destroy Sykesville railroad and telegraph lines en route to Gettysburg. And again, doing that delayed The trains going back and forth from Washington, but also delayed General Stewart's ability to participate early on in the Gettysburg campaign. Just back to another image of the Sykesville Main Street fire, October 21st, 1937. Same picture of the Sykesville train station back in the day. And again, this is just an image showing the train station, steam locomotive getting ready to pass through Sykesville and heading to points west. Again, the fire station and fire truck with the chief and operator proudly coming out of the fire station. The railroad system back in the day was fraught with many, more than I actually thought, train accidents, train crashes, and this is yet an example of another one that happened in downtown Sykesville, indicating it occurred around 1900. You can see that many of the cars have been pushed off the rail line, steam locomotive in the bottom right, and another center left, and again they are trying to clean up the debris caused by the crash and wreckage of the train. This particular image again is of the train station, Sykesville train station. They're indicating here that it was probably taken 1890 to 1900. Again, just showing a train steam engine pulling in to the train station and getting ready to head to points west. As the caption says on the right hand side, because of the volume of passengers that would go to and from, at one time there was actually a loading platform on the river side of the train station, as you can see. This image was taken around 1930, just showing again steam engine passing through Sykesville. You can see on the right hand side a loading platform, and again apparently there was quite a bit of traffic, passenger traffic back in the day that warranted a loading platform on both the river side of the train station and on the Sykesville side. You can see the bridge that carried vehicles and other types of transportation across the Patapsaco River, one from the right over to the left-hand side and into downtown Sykesville. Again, just an image that we've seen before of Sykesville. As you're looking at this, the bridge that's sort of in the lower center would have been taken out by one of the floods, possibly Hurricane Agnes back in 1972. Again, just going back to probably the oldest photo that we have that I've been able to find of Sykesville, just depicting the Grimes Hotel in the upper center and the Zimmerman store that at the time sort of doubled as the train station. And these were washed away in the catastrophic 1868 flood that came down the Patapsaco River and wiped out much of the structures, factories, etc. From this point all the way down past Ellicott City to Elk Ridge and into Baltimore. Again, just a photograph from near the train tracks, lower Sykesville, and looking up Main Street. On the building on the left-hand side would have been the fire station. Not sure whether that was still active as a fire station at that moment in time, or whether they had built the new fire station further up Main Street. Again, a comparison of the old and now the new. This particular image is showing what these buildings look like today, with the creamery on the left and the other structures that you had seen in the previous image still very much in place. Another image of Main Street, Sykesville, looking up Main Street. It looks like that might be a horse and buggy sort of mode of transportation on the lower right, but again, Sykesville back in the day. And that's pretty much it. Please use your remaining heartbeats wisely and not waste a single precious one.